as well, and John QT can get a handle as well in terms of what Valyn is calling in terms of that head-to-head. It's something that the desk was also talking about, I think, into the pre-show. Wyatt mentioning it, the history between John QT and Valyn playing against each other in Ascension, M80 versus the Guard, but here they stand once more, facing off against each other with it all to play for. And a Walker, yes, going to be catching something, a bit of damage done here. And, oh, sidestep, not suppressed by the drone, so able to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, that's a tight one. G2, part of their game plan this time might be to try and apply pressure to Zellsis. We've seen quite a few teams run that kind of strategy against Sentinels on split.
Walking all the way up, though. That's, okay, acknowledgement of a bit of lead still. Second! Goodness me. Rapid fire with a ghost in hand. He's just seen a shoulder, might be hunting for a little bit more. 3 in a round for him. Can he get the 4? TP's back to safety, rejoining. Rest of the pack.
And when you have a player that's on form like this, white hot to begin the map, why wouldn't you want to fight? He looks super confident, utilizing Zellsis as bait, and put Valyn and Jonah P in an almost impossible spot.
Yeah. Walking, but spotted. Just to the side here, and a flash and a repeat. Wow!
You're going to steal his ace? Zekken could have had a second ace of the series already, and Narrate just swings in and cleans it up. Fair enough. Okay. Don't give him a chance at 1v5 in you.
And the firepower, it's never been in doubt, I think, with this Sentinels team, as we were kind of mentioning. Gets them up to the pistol round win. Very important, I think, to have a strong start.
Well, of course, they lost both pistols on Haven.
Yeah.
It was 13-9.
Come on, boys, come on. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
He's not even mad about losing the ace. He's locked in. They might have thought that G2 were going to force this. G2, though, with no plant, no kills, they don't really have the money to go for it. So SEN, they full buy up as much as they can, just in case, but it should make this round extremely one-sided.
Salvos. The stun does force at least the TP back out, but Narrator's just going to be trying to hold down that line, but cleaned up in the end. We'll see if that gun is retrievable. Might have just dropped down.
Where are the other players playing in sight with Narrate?
Yeah, a bit fearfully, I think, as well, with that Aftershock's going to be pushing them back and away. And now doubled up, grouped up, bit of stray spam, but right click, jumping in your face, classic, and that's going to be gun reclaimed. Another layer to it though, G2 looking to step forward once more, trying to fight for absolutely every single inch they can get.
Poison's on.
Sentinels the ones that slowed down here because this retake is just occurring and the guns are not exactly the weapons of choice. Still John adjusts just in time. Over towards the top though, that is the Sheriff singing out and a head ripped off.
They didn't even force this round, Brent. They came in full, as much as you could possibly buy for Sentinels. Nothing for G2.
Unbelievable.
And they've somehow stolen it away.
Talk about just flipping expectations on his head. I think, you know, Sen not going for like the 3 rifle buy, 2 pistols on the side of it, fully investing, anticipating that G2 would go for the force.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you expect that? They've been doing it all stage long, all year long.
Well, it turns out they don't even need the force, apparently. Now, I think a lot of people are going to look at this round and point at Narrate as being the player that made the mistake by playing on site when the rest of his team fell off. But I'd like them to do the opposite. I'd like Bang to be actually getting through that smoke and fighting with Narrate. I'd like some of the players in Heaven like Zellsis to be swinging out rafters and fighting with Narrate. You can't play retake all the time against G2. They've already proven that in the last time you played against them. So get out there and scrap with Narrate, who clearly wanted to fight.
That early momentum though, it's going to be gone, taken away. Wind out of the sails here for Sentinels.
Yeah, this is a devastating beginning. And once more, you know, the hard work of Zekken, he's going to be looking at it like, what more do I have to do, guys?
Yeah.
He's got an outlaw in this round, up against full armor from everybody on G2. So the outlaw force, it won't get you much done. Or at least it shouldn't, but that's what we said about G2 in the previous round, so who knows?
Save from prior. We'll see though, might be offered a few targets still. The trouble is, like you mentioned, that's full armor, so 10 HP, survived. That's going to be a bit battered and bruised, but he's still alive for now, and extra body could make a massive difference with the Salvo still alive. He's going to be using them preemptively. He's trying to slow down Sentinels here. They want to try and flood in themselves. Difficulties. Not really too many safe places to stand against it, but already vacuuming it up in terms of that space, and the time is ticking already with his spike. Good luck getting chances into this. At this point, G2 just looking to try and at least get out with the rifles and the guns into their hands. Neither chance on one of them, but we'll see if the rest of them survive. And indeed they do, and Zelsis even just barely getting onto that one, so he does go down with the rest of his team.
They think it is more honor.
Trent saving a stinger there. Not what he's looking for, and goes for the upgrade. But G2 can afford to do that because they're wealthy. Zelsis, a bit of a...
Consolation prize, really.
Consolation prize, a silver line in.
I was aware of that happening, but at the time, I mean, SEN were kind of getting battered, so I didn't want to bring it up.
Yeah, it didn't seem particularly relevant on Haven, but when they were watching the second half slip away from them.
Weapons up.
And they got to make sure that this half doesn't slip away from them as well, because they started it brilliantly.
Yeah.
It's been a microcosm of the first map. A white-hot beginning, and then G2 take it away. Second with an ultimate. There's a set play that a lot of teams go for, where they Euro ult out A at the start of the round with a paranoia. That's why you see Jorgamo here playing with Leaf. But that didn't happen. Bang really holding his ground as well, not giving up that space. That's bold, brave from him. And gives them decent info that G2 weren't really trying to take B main there.
Yeah, I think the rate was there with a good response in terms of having util to refight. Feeling like he had safety. Oh, just about missed the timing on that one. Second, he's going for seconds.
Of course he is.
Holding down towards Vents here. Drop down, that's Hearn. Just a few kneecaps is all it takes here. Chopped straight down. John QT's there. Salvos. Jonah isolated ever so slightly, but he's got backup now arriving as well.
If they do end A, Second's been deadly in this anchor position. He catches Jonah P, that spike dropped, and he still has a flash to play around.
Tiniest of angles to really work with.
30 seconds
Being played around here. These are Sentinels players hard anchoring onto the site in a position here with a drone out wide. You've got to know exactly where they might be laying here with the stun. It's good. Right to the side, Trent. Getting away with bloody murder. Still off to the corner. That's John, yeah, and that prior damage weakened him up. Bit of running, gunning. Still, it's a 2v3 situation. G2 at least get themselves into the post plan, but more needs to be done by Leaf. Already wrapping, and it's a fast play by Sentinels. They're not messing around. Trying to play this one a bit more loose.
I love that smoke on sight from Valyn.
No one watching for main. Snake bites walking through Valyn. This is so damn unexpected. It isn't even necessary. Leaf cleaning them all up. Instinctual plays all around. It doesn't matter that you put this G2 team in a disadvantage. They weasel their way out.
And you just heard that Zelsis had hit 1,500 kills. Valyn did it in that round, whilst also doing everything required to be able to pull off a clutch. Had support from Leaf as well, but I love the way that he played around this.
Nice, Jake! Nice call, Jonah. Go, let's go. Got you.
Jonah there with some kind of call. Might have been the pivot to go over towards A. Could have been something around how they wanted to play the clutch. But either way, giving credit to Jonah for that. Bang has been throwing this early smoke over towards B main. And it does feel like a major strategy of Sentinels is this control over towards the side of the map. Force a bit of utility out of G2 early. SEN have a trap play in mid. They're hoping to find a timing. Maybe off the back of Trent's drone, possibly even the salvos that often come through to vent, and then stun, and then spring.
Cheeky idea, but Jorgen was going to be the one taking that contact. He does have a get out of jail card, flash, peek, and a swing. The guns are just a bit too weak, really, for too much damage to be done there by Sentinels, but a neat idea. Doesn't really come to fruition too much.
And even that gate crash that you were mentioning, Jorgamo doesn't even bother with it because they have 3 players there looking to try to punish the trap. John, though, with a nice read and anticipation of where Valyn is going to end.
Great gamble. Wild cut and drops, though, unexpected with the timing. Second caught, counted down by the ankles in that spot. Still a wide swing and a face out here with a fault line to try and supplement. John off onto the corner, just offloading all sorts of missiles, trying to slow down this approach by G2. There's 25 seconds left. There is still danger. Rolling Thunder has to be committed. G2 trying to navigate this spot nicely. Hearing that drop down, though, the spam is just to try and deny. Zelsis. It's 2 nice ones. Need a bit more time of the essence still. You're going to try and weave your way into the site. And John QT has denied that last ditch attempt.
If there was another couple of bullets in the stinger, I think John would have had that. Oh. Jonah was the spike deliverer. He almost got caught in the choke. It's an eco round that G2 navigate really well, and yet the shots coming out from Zelsis nearly made it winnable. But Leaf, with 10 seconds on the clock, swings out to make sure that Jonah can plant.
Yeah.
A timeout here for Sentinels. It's now been 4 rounds in a row. And G2, they are still looking as dominant as the last time they played split against SEN, but in different ways. SEN are actually trying to fight them. They're not just playing off-site retakes and allowing G2 all the control in the world. They're trying to fight them with trap plays through mid. They're trying to have Zekken contest Leaf on the lurks in A main.
And the B main control 2 with a one-way, forcing them to use util.
But at the crucial moments, it slips away from them. And G2 are still being able to get into the sites. It's a better attempt, I think, but you wouldn't know it from looking at the score. And it's difficult playing against opponents. This is their 4th time meeting G2 just this year. And Sentinels, the only time that they've beaten G2 in VCT was in that upper bracket semi-final that we just watched recently.
As we were talking about prior, Valyn earned himself up as well to a nice milestone.
In a huge round for him, too.
But guns in the hands of these Sentinels players. This is the time to strike while the iron's hot, and can stem the bleeding even better. Different util being used here by Sen to try and control B main, but flash through and G2 unscathed.
But at least you get the good notification that they're taking B main control. That flash tells you that the attackers are there, rather than just allowing G2 to contact take that.
Trying through mid. Bang jiggling. It's going to be big exec lined up.
And Bang was phenomenal last time these two teams played. He's already been good individually on Haven.
No signs of life until now. Bang is going to be under a lot of scrutiny. Still with that paranoia is excellent! And he calls for the fight forwards. Brilliant with the util. It's the rate making sure to follow up, but G2 not done yet, not done. But Country Mars still has a team flash! And the rate strikes right back!
Now that's what you want to see from Sentinels. Bang and Array fighting one after another in the choke point, stuffing G2 before they can even get started. That's how Sen got the win on Ascent previously. And this is a really nice strategic adjustment. Obviously, a fumble there from G2 as well, with how Jonah P's flash set Valyn up.
Nice march, let's go, boys.
But that is what you want to see. That's what they didn't quite execute properly in round 2.
That's what they needed.
Leaf forgot to buy armor.
Yeah, 2,700 to bank, sometimes it happens.
Keep an eye on that, see whether it's relevant in the round. Shows you that G2 may be a little scrambled after that.
It could be a costly mistake, especially if he squares up in a fight against Zekken here. Zekken, sole job trying to control the space, and sure that Leaf can't lurk. Bullets grazing.
The chip damage, though, actually kind of important because he still survives now 2 Vandal bullets.
Adds up, doesn't it? Adds up entirely, and well, he's taking a whole load of damage in the process. Zekken repositions. Gate crash. Second exit plan up towards a side, unanticipated with the angle, but instant with the trade.
Really good support from G2. I mean, the fact that they're making it feel like it's a solo 1v1 fight and then Valyn swings around the corner to punish, it actually makes it much more difficult, I would say, for the defenders to hold on to this A-ramp area.
Salvos forward here, John QT.
Great proactive reclear from John. He realizes that that's a fake.
Celsius' turn next as well. Tempo's going to be turned right up with a snake bite, hopefully. Holding them back for now. It's essential that they hold on to control of B Heaven because anchoring players onto B. This is going to be a tight squeeze indeed. Dropping down at that Salvos. Good by Sentinels again, calling for it. Supplementary
really
util.
They still had the Taeho ult in the back pocket to use as well. I don't think there was really any chance there that G2 were cracking through B Heaven. John made the play.
Yeah.
The IGL getting the information over towards A-ramp that was in fact a fake. And as the time ticks down, Sen win another. They played some good rounds out the back of this tack timeout that Kaplan called. The time was low, only 35 seconds on the clock. G2 spending so much of it just trying to set Leaf up to take a fight against Zekken.
Yeah. Bumming and ahhing around the map there. Sentinel's going to be glad for it though, now just 1 round behind.
And this time, Valyn doesn't even have the money to go for full armor. So you can argue about whether it even made the difference for Leaf in the brawl over towards A main in the prior round, but I think SEN are going to be feeling pretty happy about the fact that they've got this gap down to 1, and they still have Breach Taeho ult to be able to work with.
Huge ultimates. Gonna be comfortable playing a retake potentially with it. We'll see what the game plan looks like.
Well, the game plan here for G2 seems to be put all the pressure into Zekken.
Trying to clear him out to the angle! Easier said than done!
Send 4 next time, why don't you? 3 wasn't enough.
Here's the next test. Jorgamo, not the weapon, potentially for the job, but still he gets it done with a stinger at hand. Ease it into it. In through mid. And they've got it all on lock. Sentinels making sure that they leave no openings.
I mean, you can see why G2's game plan would be, let's try to target the weak area where Zekken's holding alone. And yet, it's not weak at all.
Need a bit more than that.
He's absolutely done him. Body shots onto the player in the back, into a flick headshot on the player at the front, and then resets his aim. Look at how nice that is onto Trent.
And G2 have lost all signs of control so far into this map. Last few rounds all going away as SEN. They've dragged it up even, 4-4.
To be honest, the last 2 rounds, they've tried to do just the same thing twice.
They had to bring 3. They had to bring 3, and it still didn't work.
That's what I'm saying, man. Next time, bring the whole stack. Zekken might get an ace. He's been incredible. He's at the top of the scoreboard again, 9-6. Arguably a slightly less hot start than Haven, but who's measuring?
Yeah, undeniable, I think, in terms of it.
He's been amazing at the start of both of these.
Exactly.
But it wasn't enough for Sentinels on Haven. Once the gears really started turning for G2, they found more and more ways of being able to get around him and abuse the gaps. But this half, Josh RT's been forced to hit the red button because Valyn's run into a bit of a brick wall here.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to apply a ramp pressure without running into Zekken. And you could argue, all right, well, let's do something fast. Let's stun, let's salvo, let's take a ramp quickly. Well, one of the reasons why teams don't tend to do that is, what if the Breach and Taeho are there and then they just ult you and you die and you just lose the round within the first 5 seconds? So fast A ramp takes are notoriously difficult against Breach Taeho comps. They're going to go for it though, anticipating that Sentinels are going to be still leaving that weakness on A.
There's a half by round here for G2. Throwing anything at the wall here, Valyn, TP forwards. Already back up onto this line. Jump spot looking for the info. Zekken isolated into the corner, salvos. It's going to make his position now all the more important. TP doesn't really know where Valyn is playing forward. Still, he's going to get out of there. Side opened up, but as we've already mentioned, the use, well, at least the ults, they should be good, but a pit in your face might be second-guessing things here. Sentinels, they do have the tools to deal with it.
G2 are so good at playing around these ultimates and creating close sightlines to make the stingers work.
Talking about Dimensional Drift even used on his own here, trying to spot out most of these players. 2 up through heaven, 1 just making his way over towards ramp, so Cornelin letting his team know it's all being cleared out nice and pretty now towards the back. It's Zekken's turn. Ping's going to be highlighting all sorts here, but now it is used. Armageddon on either side here, alternating. This is going to be a bit chaotic onto the side for about a moment. Kevin, can you pass your way through? Salvos denying the defuse entirely, but swinging out through the back, and Trent left into the 1v1 ultimately. Time ticking. And G2 keep their heads above water.
And that is what happens when you give G2 a post plan. This is why we were talking about SEN need to be fighting them in the choke point. This time, G2, they barrel through with a huge amount more utility to push Zekken away. And once they get the site for free, it doesn't matter how good your retakes are. You're going into a pit, you're going into ultimates. And if Trent's the last one alive, you're going into salvos as well. It is so difficult to win clutches against Trent. And now G2 swap things up. They've been going towards A ramp for the last 3 rounds in a row. Now, the focus elsewhere. Back towards Celsius. And the resources have been pulled away from him.
Cutting through.
Same aftershock one way over towards B main, so G2 don't get that for free. But Leaf, you're imagining, is going to be playing this one passive. But just as I say that he's calling for reinforcements from the rest of the team. Valyn is so determined to make A ramp a weakness.
Yeah.
But if you're not taking it quick with the breach utility, are we not just going to see the same thing where Zekken sprays down 2?
They're contacting for it. Oh, okay. Do you really want to take that fight again? Zekken is even thinking about potentially taking up the space again. Still holding down his ground with a gate crash behind. Leaf was just trying to get set up, and as soon as he is, Zekken strikes.
And now all of that information is going to get fed over to John QT. They know that they're not ending A. It was Leaf alone. No trade came through. Sen can get ready for a B pop, a B split. Something like that is almost certainly going to be happening.
Just calling a little bit easier here. Drone, be careful. Broken. Jorg's not taking any chances. Salvo's over towards the top here with the paranoia. Lay it down. Alongside, it's going to be an offloaded. Viper's Pit. It's going to be hiding now, blanketing the site ever so slightly here for Sentinels, but time is of the essence of G2. They need that move on. 20 seconds left, a bit of stray spam and hoping, running and gunning. And some prayers for them. Jumping down and away, around to the side. Narrate is handed. A multitude of kills, all to his liking, and poor Jonah P. Not much to do in this spot.
They challenged the pit and they lost. Some of those are just going to come down to timings, but Sen had the read. They knew what their protocol was going to be if they got pushed into a site. There, Zelsis was ready with the ultimate. And encompasses John QT and Narrate inside to play 3 strong in there. And in a round like this, yes, it ends with Zelsis' ult on B, but it starts with Zekken locking down A ramp again.
Yeah.
The only round where they've been able to stop him was when they went fast with utility towards him.
I'm getting a lot of word kills.
I'm finding it surprising as well at this point, G2 not leaning towards trying to take mid-control, which seems weaker. Still trying to brute force their way past Zekken.
Well, this is another eco round.
Money's not good. That's a no-scope, okay. Look at the draw there with the Outlaw in hand. Sees the cross though with the bodies and knows that the fight's going to be coming hot, fast and heavy here, but already lead's going to be raining down and bodies toppling and falling in through the choke points. No real chance in hell now for G2.
And this wasn't even a stinger buy for G2. It was so much of an eco, but they only had the Sheriffs to work with, so not even fast through the choke point. Much less sting, and Sentinels should be good here to get up to 6.
Disciplined, Zekken's holding it. John onto the corner.
Narrate has kept hold of this breach ultimate. We're about to go into the final round of the half. G2 have been the ones, I think, running their heads into a bit of a brick wall. And Zekken's been so good. Apart from that one round, he's just had firm control over towards A ramp.
One enemy remains. Long.
Valyn, at least for the moment, pulls his troops away from that A ramp battle. They're not going to go fast in that direction, but he's been doing mid-round setups of Leaf very consistently.
They're going to take mid-control, looks like.
Leaf changes where the orb is, so that's a nice adjustment. Makes it much more difficult for Zekken to play around while the rest of his team is in mid and B.
Creeping up now onto the angle, Zelsis. Here's a test for you. Sidestepping most of it. He's got the smokes to try and play around. Stray bullets not catching onto him. Slow going for now for G2, but they are getting back control towards B main.
And 2 players from Sentinels have kind of been stuck defending A ramp because of this new orb placement. Now that there's a bit of a gap in mid as well, Zekken has to pull back, has to watch vents. Because Zelsis has let that slip, but Sen are doing a good job re-clearing.
Holding up that space here, but they have given up heavy control. This does put the Sentinels players in a bit of a spot.
Well,
squeeze.
They've got the breach ult though to relieve this pressure. Narrate's got to be good with it.
He's behind most of his team though. He can't really use it to try and reactively help them out. Jorgamo straight in. First into the breach. Round to the side. There it is. The team stun in action. And John QT not long for the world. Narrate. He's tucked now towards the side. A double face and discipline at G2 is all it takes to dismantle it. Zekken and Bang now left. See what they can do. Quick play. Flash through. Against this many players. Now impossible. 6-6. G2 really finding it tough, I think, to get through. A semblance of those rounds here, saved by the fact that they were able to get those openings.
Sen could have definitely set up a better triple setup on that B side to work around the breach ultimate. You saw Zelsis, and John basically died before Narrate could get any value out of that.
As a team stun.
Yeah, and forced to breach out his own teammate because the setup wasn't really there. But okay, an even half. Battled back and forwards, and remember that this is the half where Sen got dominated before, so getting 6 rounds is actually great for them. It's so winnable to put us back at 1-1 in the series.
But even for now, we're going to find out on the other side of this just how split goes.
Oh. Huh? Nature sure is full of wonders. Red Bull gives you wings.
The new Red Bull Zero is here. 100% wings with monk fruit extract.
Now we know from map 1 that, listen, the firepower on Sentinels has never been in doubt. The reason they ended up losing Haven came down to the Battle of the Minds, to be honest. The IGLing Valyn had John QT's number in terms of the calling. Sentinels finding their footing though this time on split. And honestly, Valyn almost outcalling himself to a degree. They were absolutely tunnel visioned on trying to remove Zekin towards the tail end of that half. And so far for Sentinels, if they can keep this up, staying one step ahead of G2, that's where they'll find their first map win in this best of 5.
On the pistol, looks like Sentinels want to take some A ramp control really quickly.
Time to jump.
Can be dangerous doing this into Breach Tejo, because that stun salvos at the start of the round is always a possibility.
There's a stun, there's a TP, it's countered up, yeah. See it re-cleared, and Zekin has no get out here. Barely able to survive, not taking too much damage.
None, in fact.
And so here it is, double face stop clearance, that's good discipline. Combining forwards now and paving a way to success, open access to the A site. Everything's going to be open though, so no safe plan in that direction, but plan for main at least.
And this is where you get to see if Sentinels can be perfect in these post-plant spots.
This is reactive, feeling the heat there from Leaf, and now he's going to be rejoined by the rest of his team, and you're right.
John is playing so safe for the salvos, which are back in 10 seconds.
Trying to drag this one out all the way forwards. A lot of util being expended out towards it, and John not even creeping around for the backstab. He wants to play just for the salvo timing. Realizing that's the big advantage on top of the players that they've already taken out. Stun forwards, John with a swing. Finally the time to strike is there. Pistol round, earned up for Sentinels.
That's the kind of round that Valyn was envisioning for quite a few of the ecos that he ran on the attack side, but it's John that pulls it out on the pistol. Going for fast A ramp pressure, then back into sight. And Sentinels, a team that are known for their retakes on this map, played the post plant beautifully here.
Wow, did not expect the tail to sit there.
He's commenting on it. The passive position. G2 were caught unaware here, and this is an aggro play by G2. Trying to get control towards B main, and he sort of follow up. Well, it was there, but mowed down at a moment's notice.
Leaf on a very fast timing behind them. It's unlikely that that's going to be too much of a danger.
Last player
And
John's
John,
already watching.
super aware. If we're talking about the Battle of the Minds and who's one step ahead of the other, I mean, John just read that one. That's a fast play down mid in the first 30 seconds, first 20 seconds of the round. And he's on top of it. The more that he can anticipate what's going on, the better Sentinels are going to look. Not necessarily snowballing into any massive ultimates, but being able to get a rifle on board here, they'll have a good bonus round buy. 3 Stingers, 2 Phantoms. If you've got a fast round to pull out of the strat book now, could be a great time to start rocking G2.
This is the time to do it.
Does G2 go for the same B main control? So Sentinels were running a one-way and an aftershock at the start of the round. There's the one-way. Oh, not even. Just a smoke in the choke point. And no Aftershock used, so Sen just take B main instantly. Bang even teleporting into a spot where the Aftershock would have missed. So that's nice. Bang's already one step ahead.
Ready to follow up on a moment's notice here with a drone broken. Sees the orb. Got to break that one, yeah. And suddenly, a lot of the bite taken out here. G2 not able to set themselves up. Or I should say Sentinels not able to set themselves up.
Yeah, not a fast play. I was expecting something a little quicker. Instead, familiar scenes, but the sides swapped. The Viper on the attack, the Yoru on the defense.
All up in your face. Okay, just seeing absolutely nothing at all there, but the smokes blanketing most of mid here, but bit of spam. That's just up from B Heaven as Jonah P, I should say, looking for picks. Finds it, giving him big control in the process. 40 seconds left though for Sentinels.
Jorg forced off the line here a little bit.
Time might start to be a problem. Trent has had to give up most of control towards A Heaven.
Sen have got a lot of room around the map.
Not a lot of time to work with though, off the back of it, but they might have time for a pivot. Especially if that fight goes the way of John, which it does. He's already overzealous though, steps over it, and Valyn just drops him. Cut down at the kneecaps. Paranoia weaves in, Leaf with the peak. It's ahead, toppled and rolls. 2 players left now to do all they can. Sentinels with no real time to work with. 12 seconds. Creeping, crawling, walking around, but Zelsis needs to be covered into this spot in the salvos while no access whatsoever to a safe plant. Picked up by Zekin, but at this point, fool's errand to try and go for that one. Swarmed by G2.
Well handled there from G2, considering how much space they gave Sentinels through mid. It looked like Sen, even though they were down 4v5, could have created a lot of danger. But Valyn cleans things up in his anchor spot on A. Now we get rifles on board, both teams. And Sen leaning over towards B main at the start of this round again. It looks like this time Jonah is going to go for some kind of stun or Aftershock to try to control that space. It's the Aftershock, bangs past it.
Yeah, tip it again. Does Valyn expect it? Surely. Hearing some sound cues, Elsis. Bullet to the head, with the wall blocking most of the damage. Lucky to be alive.
And a reclear pushes Bang away in B main. So this is now a huge fight in mid.
They're getting active, aren't they?
G2. 8 players.
Looking for a brawl. Looking to define how this round goes here and now. Who can react faster? That's going to be the question. Utils forwards, flick to the side. Sentinels have got the fire in line. Not stopped. Slowed down though, minute on the mark. Got to take that spike all the way back. And okay, evacuation call for. Well, you're going to be running into Jorgamo. He hears it. Splashing around towards sewers. Drone. Couldn't break it. Had to commit. Had to get all the way the hell back out of there. TP's forwards as well. Up onto the site.
I think Zelsis took 140 there.
Seconds anticipated with the pathing. Forwards down into hell. And Zelsis is the last one standing. They know exactly where he is.
And that's a nice round again from G2, the way that they flood in instead of playing off-site for the retake. That really caught Sentinels off guard, I think. Sen, once they pushed Jorgamo away, probably expecting that they'd be able to get site for free and already thinking about the post plan. And considering that they won that scrap in mid, I think they would have been expecting a slightly easier end to this round. Instead, the score tied up, 8-8.
100%. Nice, boys! So predictable, bro.
Well, there you go. We've talked about it as a battle of the minds. It's all about getting ahead of your opponent and figuring out what they're going to do.
G2 going to be giving you... Okay, well, pressure mounting here by Zekin. Dimensional drift. Spots out the one. Essential that Jorgamo was able to get rid of that drone, but he's still going to be stunned up into the corner. He's sticking around. Finally TPing back.
What the hell is Valyn doing?
Okay, TP forwards, or at least a fast flank is called for. Not sure how Valyn got there into the end, but it's a plan nevertheless. Sentinels get themselves into a tight, tucked spot. Into the post. Where's the next level of things here? It's an Aftershock into the corner once more, but evacuation again. Pulling back and away. G2 just trying to bleed Sentinels out. Time being bought, Util held, and guns not at the ready here. Valyn right from behind. Nice with the 3-piece. And a round lead now for G2.
Valyn getting similar impact to the end of Haven on an individual level. He Omen ults into spawn so far away from that B hit. I mean, he needed the rest of his team to control the map. and make sure that they didn't lose the round before his flank could come through. And they gave him that time. They played with that patience, and he delivered for them with a 3K.
Nice, Jake! That down, boy.
Top of the scoreboard for Valyn, talking his talk. And a tactical timeout. It's normally Zelsis that we see standing up, throwing shade over to his opponents, playing the psychological game. I'm sure this series will start heating up even further once we get to, you know, map 3, maybe even map 4 and 5 territory.
Yeah.
At the moment, still in the early stages of this BO5. But you can see, with rounds like that, the grit.
And Sentinels not looking for a repeat of what happened on Haven. They were in control for most of that map for our opener in this best of 5, and they lost grip overall towards the tail end. The string of rounds being put together by G2. Currently have 3. Looking for even more. That's what the timeout's for on Sentinels, to put a stop to it.
I talked about this earlier at the very beginning of Split, but G2 are so good at anticipating Sentinels' post-plant aggression. When Sen get into a site, they will try to disrupt the retake by, you know, a variety of different tools, but a little push towards spawn with the breach utility, or a paranoia heaven and somebody gets inside the smoke and goes up ropes. You know, there's always something that they want to be doing to throw off that perfect retake their opponents are trying. But G2 are incredible at anticipating it. It ruined Sentinels last time they played on this map. And in that round, round 17, it kind of happened again. Leaf, you heard him say, way too predictable about the previous round.
A lot of respect shown here by Sentinels. Jorgamado, operator in his hand, and he's posted up. It's a game of reactions. Game of not timing! Just a shoulder or an elbow, barely peeking out. That's all he needed.
Cutting through.
And
Throw it immediately there.
Yeah, to try to reset him back up on the angle. Jorgamon was forced to fall back off. He didn't want to get traded, and the drone helps set him back up again. Pings as well.
Walking up for now, John's going to have that drone. Got to respect it. Again, Jorg does not want to be caught out into the open as a TP bar. Studs bang, taking a bit of ramp control. Presence noted here by G2. They are reinforcing most of the map over towards the A side.
My ultimate is ready.
Smoke dropped. They're calling for the swing as that smoke does blossom and bloom. Jorgen was already found the one Armageddon. Trying to push them past. But locked down into the spot. Jorgen not to be denied. A chance of a bit of argy-bargy. He's already picked up 3 into the round now, and John QT is left to pick up those pieces. Upgrade found, but in a 1v3, what can you do? 20 seconds left, and this is the back end of the timeout. Sentinels just getting anticipated.
Wow, and he's going to make the difficult decision to save in this spot. A round where Jorgamo has similar impact to Zekken. Incredible 3K with the operator in his hands, though, rather than a Vandal. But a very different way of getting that value. Instead of getting a crazy spray down alone, Jorgamo gets the first kill, backs up, gets supported by a teammate. Then he's posted up, has to teleport away, gets supported by teammates again for a triple swing. He swung into the site with his op at the same time as 2 players swung from screens. All of the players are focused on those screens players. And then he's able to take the peak again. So much teammate support and distraction there being given so that Jorg could get his ones.
There's frustration showing on the faces of these Sentinels players. You can't blame them because you can feel it. Losing grip of the map.
And so similar to Haven. Second half running away from them. They can't find the adaptation that they need. And you can't be going down 0-2 in a BO5 where you had double map ban.
No.
It is so tough to run that reverse sweep. And the psychological stuff going on in your head as well. Thinking, how is it going wrong? We had our map pick.
Exactly. I was just talking to Valyn yesterday, in fact, about it. And Valyn was saying, we're not too worried about going up against a double map ban advantage, because if we take that first map, exactly what you were pointing out, Josh, is playing in the back of the heads of these players. You're thinking, where did it go wrong?
Drone going out.
And that's a spot that G2 have been in a few times as well. G2, this is their 4th time attending an Americas final. Back to back to back to back.
Jorg spotted, he hears it though. Jumping up towards ramp, it's going to be stun at least to relieve some of that pressure.
Cover going out.
And G2 only won 1 of those, by the way. The most recent. Lost to 100 Thieves, lost to Leviathan last year, making sure that they don't lose again.
Trying to defend this one, they don't know where the TP is, but finally, okay, set your sights onto it, Valyn. He knows where this one's coming. Anchor Smoke's going to be layered down on top of it, double TP into the back. That's Paranoia. Should be a connection onto a multitude of them. Just a clone, but not going to be faked out for too much longer. 25 seconds left. Sen, they call for the pause, tempering the moment for just a bit.
But there's so many defenders here.
Here it is, Util in their hands. Smoke's dropped down, and Valyn lights them all up. Open access to the bodies here, and a fight going all the way of G2.
Sen just got penned in a corner, herded into the back of the B site, and everybody on G2 waiting for them to make that move. They're 2 steps ahead. 5 rounds in a row.
Spike down B.
And Valyn individually is having a great game. He found so much impact.
We're bouncing on each other. Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. Huh? Of course, I mean, they're playing off each other.
They're playing off each other so well. One person pings and the other person pongs.
Exactly. That's what they meant. That's what they meant. Don't get any funny ideas.
No, Mr. John Hyatt. Teleport up for some early vent control from Sentinels here. Looking to try to take some skirmishes rather than just end in a massive execute, because G2 have always had the read. And they haven't really been doing much of a pinch onto A-ramp. This could be nice pressure onto Trent. But Second and Bang back away. And they'll have to back away.
Do you have anything to get out of here? Yeah, the gate crushes there. Second barely out of dodge. He's just waiting for the last possible moment. Dramatic effect and all, but Sen need a bit more than that now with the drone to lead. The charge! Second's there alongside it. Taking damage into the process. What's the next level to it? Timing taken, slipping past it, in through the smoke, and 200p, eager to just try and drop down, is punished.
Good trade.
Sentinels though, time to shine for them. Rolling Thunder cleaving its way through the site. Now they've got the B site open access, but Trent has already weaved his way in through the back and snaps up. Reaction, and there's the follow-up. Valyn's right there. Paranoia sweeps through. Narrate happy to try and step up towards it, and Valyn almost there with that reaction, but dealt with. All down to Jorg now. Retake with the op. And Zelsis, cheeky with the off angle. Yeah, that's going to get the job done.
Much better round from Sentinels. They were able to generate picks before they hit the site by fighting for B heaven control. Instead of doing a bit of a non-committal take of map control and then ending with a site pop, they find a way, and they find the players that are trying to deny them that control. Leaf decided to hold his ground. And that's how Zekken got the opener, and then the trade out from Bang, that 1-2 combo that we've been seeing from Zekken and Bang. Coming together nicely. Jorg is going to pick up another op. So, pretty similar scenes again. And Sentinels want to start towards A-ramp, want to start putting the pressure onto him early.
Might be meeting a lot of them again, the drone. Causes issues this time, oh my, leg shot! He's not going to be denied that kill. Shorty does the dirty work at the tail end of it, even gets out of it.
That's incredible bravery from Jorgamo sticking around as well. Rather than wondering about getting caught, suppressed, traded.
Just takes the risk, stands his ground.
And rewarded for it. Zelsis, though, has actually got himself into a decent position here. Now, of course, Jorgamo's on the other side of this. I would expect Sen to want to go back to Zelsis because he's got the Viper's Pit. If you can get onto a site, that's one of the best ultimates to turn a 4v5 in your favor. But it's another first pick that goes against Sentinels.
B main. Did it spot the players? That's the question.
Yeah,
Valyn ults for the info.
It must have done because Jonah P is starting to react already over there. But this is kind of nice. It's opened up the A site. It's allowed them to come back to Zelsis. And the pit could yet be Sen's favor.
30 seconds though.
30 seconds left.
Is this angle anticipated either from Jonah P? You're hearing it now to rumble up through vents. Surely heard and spotted. Stunned, slows him down. Salvos trying to be used here. Sen are being slowed to a crawl. Got to get a move on, but you're really just being bogged down by the multitudes of util the G2 have in their back pocket. There's another one for you. Stun forwards and whipping, hopping all around. You're going to be meeting your match into the blender.
The stuns were way too much for Sen to get through there. They had an idea, but they couldn't manage to execute it. They had the vision, but couldn't realize.
Rolled out.
A leg shot straight on and finish off with the shorty is how it opens up. We didn't talk about it too much, but on the previous map, first kills, 15 of them to G2, only 7 for Sentinels. So G2 are finding so many of these opening kills that make it really tough for SEN. And again, the score 12-9. G2 with 3 opportunities to finish, just like on Haven. It's been exact mirror of the first map.
Careful here.
Second wants to increase that tempo though here with a dimensional drift. Pings it out where the players could be. Jogamo forced back out of the fight. Happy to play the retake though. It's G2, especially with that rolling thunder forwards in their back pocket. Pit though might cause difficulties. Slow down for now here, but the salvos, Paranoia. It's going to be pulled out. Sentinels trying to set themselves up nicely into this one. Random spam! That's the one player that could not go down with it. The pit dropped down. And Sentinels left lacking. Left gasping for air here. G2 just dominant!
We thought G2 were in survival mode in the lower bracket. They barely squeaked past some of the teams, 100 Thieves, EG. And they got a rematch here with Sentinels, and they've come out all guns blazing. A 2-0 lead in this grand finals.